If you've been following along with my aunt's kitchen build, you might have noticed that I haven't done anything for doors or drawer fronts yet. Let's fix that today with some cope and stick or rail and stile raised panel doors. I'm still not sure what the difference is, but here they are. Hey guys, how's it going? Since the cabinets still have no doors, let's get that done. Since I don't have a jointer and my table saw jointer jig is a bit undersized for something like this, I clamped up the 4/4 red oak board vertically with some hand screw clamps and clamped them down to my workbench and table saw with some F-style clamps. Then I started planing down the edge with my number 6 Stanley Bailey plane to get the end flat, checking my progress every so often with my 4-foot level. Since this was an 8-foot board and I only have a 4-foot level, I needed to check both sides and then the center of the board to make sure that everything was flat. This way definitely isn't the fastest, but it works for me until I can afford a jointer. I guess both space-wise and, the wallet. Now that I have the board jointed, I check one of the old doors to get the width for the rails and stiles. And since I promptly used the jointed board for another part of the project already, I pull down one of the already jointed scraps and start figuring out what parts I wanted from which part of the board, more or less just trying to avoid knots or other damaged sections of the board. With the rails marked out, I cut the board apart to rough length at the miter saw, and then over at the table saw, I set the fence and ripped the boards to rough width. Clearly this one board wasn't big enough for everything, so I break out another board to carry on with the process, except this board was the widest one that I had, so instead of ripping it into strips, I ripped off what will be a stile off of the side, and the remaining material will be a couple raised panels. Transition. I don't remember what my transition was going to be. Once I have the parts sufficiently parted out of the rest of the boards in the required lengths and widths, I set up the thickness planer. By the way, if you haven't seen it yet, you should check out the way Chris over at Mortgage and Mitre has his planer set up in his workbench. Much better setup. There will be a link in the description to his video. With the planer set up and everything plugged into my dust collection, I get everything planed to their final thicknesses. Thickness? With the planer blades another step closer to being duller than the inbred barn cats out at the farm, I head back to the table saw and rip the rails and stiles to final widthnesses. Widthnesses? And that's pretty much all I can do right now, at least until the rail and stile router bits are in. Oh, they're in. Oh, well, okay then. Now that the router bits are here, unpacked and good to go, I get the roundover profile bit set up and run all of the pieces through the router. I'm not going to explain the setup for the rail and stile router bits, as this is the first time I've done anything like this, and I'm pretty much just figuring it out as I go along. However, Drew over at Rockin' H Woodshop put out a video a little while ago that perfectly explains how these router bits work and the work to set them up. There will be a link down in the description to his video if you wanted to check that out. With the profile routed, I clean up the little bit of wood left over with a razor blade. Then at the miter saw, I finally trimmed the stiles to final length. Yes, just length, not length-nigh. That's just taking the joke a bit too far. To make sure I get the rails cut to final length, I set up a jig on my workbench with some plywood scraps that is set to the final width of the doors. Drop 2 of the stiles in place and measure the distance between the outer edge of the roundovers to get the final length of the rails. After I trimmed the rails to final length, I swap out the profile bit with the reverse profile bit and set the depth to match up with the profile of the rail and set the fence. After I cut myself a modified push stick to work perpendicular to the fence and act as a backer to prevent the back of the rails from blowing out too badly, I run both sides of the rails through the router table. And I guess now that I'm finished cutting all of the rails and stiles, it's a good time for a test fit, because why wouldn't you wait until you've cut every piece that you have to make sure that you've in fact done it right? Looks like I did, and all of the parts line up, so we're good. It's fine. You can relax now. Now that the rails and stiles are at their final dimensi, profiles routed out and fit confirmed, I swap out the reverse profile bit with the raised panel bit to get it ready. I figured since the raised panel bit would be using up a lot more of the oak if I ended up botching a panel, I'd best use the smallest panel for my test run. A smarter option would be to use a test piece, not of the material that you're going to be using, like, plywood. But, who said I was smart? And with my dust collection rendered completely useless with this router bit, I run the panel through the router table. and I'm man enough to admit that this router bit scares the shit out of me. So you might have noticed my router stalling out a little bit here. It might be that my router is underpowered, but if you look at the final result here, what I think is more likely is that there is this paper-thin slice of wood jamming up the router. I addressed this in my Improving My DIY Router Table video, which you can check out up here if you wanted some more detail. After cleaning up the panel, I dry fit the door together, and hey, it almost looks like I know what I'm doing. Emboldened by my success, I trimmed the rest of the panels to final size, and after taking care of the issue with the router table, I wrote out the rest of the panels. I guess I should have done something about the dust collection issue. Might have been a good idea. With the panels now routed out and the back half of my shop covered in red oak dust, it's time for a bit of cleanup. After the cleanup, I break out the thickness planer again and run the panels through. I found that the reveal between the face of the panel and the start of the roundover was a fair bit thicker than on the original doors, so I took a little bit off the top to even it up a little bit more. Then for some of the smaller panels, I whipped up a jig out of some scrap materials to hold the panels steady, so I can plane some of the thickness off the back of the panel as well. Mostly just to make them fit into the dados on the rails and stiles a bit better, but also for a couple of the smaller ones, I wasn't as comfortable taking the panel bit as far to the center as the pattern dictated, since the panel would have had nearly no bottom reference surface by the time I was done. Figured this was safer. With the planer shoved out of the way, just like the inbred barn cat out at the farm, I go through one last time to make sure that everything fits together as a dry fit. Happy with that, I move on to, well, I guess the wet fit. I clean off the little bit of roundover leftovers with a knife, apply glue to the rails and then into the stiles, drop the panel into place with no glue to avoid potential problems with seasonal expansion and contraction, drop the last stile into place, and give it a whack with the mallet at the end of my arm to seat everything into place. Before I clamp everything together, I check for square by measuring corner to corner. If they are the same length, it's square. Once they are good to go, I clamp the stiles into the rails, check again for square, and set it off to the side to dry overnight. With the doors dry, I pull them out of the clamps and take them over to the miter saw. After making sure that it was perfectly dialed into square, I set the door in place and take just a hair of width off both ends of the doors to perfectly flush up the ends. If I was smarter, I would have given the panels a once over before gluing them into the doors, but here we are. With the sanding done for now, I drop the Romanoji bit into the router and attack all of the front outer edges of both the doors and the drawer fronts. Oh, you forgot I was doing drawer fronts too? That's okay. Pretty simple, just a board with a profile routed around it. With the routing now completely done, I bring out the sander again and give everything a once over to 220 grit, especially since I just scuffed up all of the faces doing that profile. And now it's time to say goodbye to the random orbit sander. Not that it's dead. It's just time to get into hand sanding and card scraping and hand sanding, and card scraping, hand sanding and card scraping, card scraping and hand scraping and card sanding and Now that they're done, I head back out to my aunt's farm and finally get this project wrapped up. To keep the hinge spacing consistent between all of the doors, I pulled off one of the existing doors and screwed a narrow strip of plywood the same height as the cabinet in its place. Then I can unscrew the hinges from the existing cabinet and move them to another narrow strip of plywood, also the same height as the cabinet. This effectively gives me a hinge jig that I can align to the new cabinet doors and drill the hinge mounting holes with a self-centering bit into the new doors. Then to put the new doors on the new cabinets, I just made sure that it was properly aligned to the cabinet, pre-drilled, and screwed the door into place. For the small door, there really wasn't a template to work from, so I just offset the hinge a couple inches on both ends and went from there. For the door handles, I threw together another jig, basically just a scrap with a right angle lip on both sides, that I hooked onto the bottom corner of the door and drilled through. I used an existing door to get the spacing by drilling through the holes into the jig, and then used the jig to drill through into the new doors. Worked quite well. Since the drawers were using the same spacing, I was able to use the same template. I just had to make sure that it was level and centered to the drawer front. If I was smarter, I would have just made a dedicated template, but again, here we are. And since my aunt is taking care of the staining and finishing herself, at this point I can finally call this project done. Unless renovations count, I can safely say that this is the largest project I've done yet. There were definitely a lot of firsts in this project, and I learned a lot. I am super happy with how well everything came out. I feel like I earned the Schreiner in the John the Schreiner with this project. This is the final part of a multi-part project. The earlier videos were building the cabinets you just saw me put the doors on. If you missed those videos, there is a link to the playlist of the whole project up here as well. So, with that, thank you all for watching, and if you like what I'm doing here, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for more. If you have any questions or comments, I look forward to reading them in the comment section below. And if you want to see more up-to-date projects, you can always follow me on Instagram at John the Schreiner. Otherwise, I hope to see you in the next video, and have a good one.